Good morning, then.
There.
Unusual togs for a Sunday morning.
You put me down for 9 net.
I expect you'll enjoy that.
For the junior colts.
Gratters and luck.
Well, back you effect that break.
Oh, to hell with all that.
We better go.
Are you in there?
Yes, darling.
They've started breakfast.
Oh, I'll just have a shower then.
Couldn't you after?
I pong fearfully.
Well, we've a lot to do. I haven't started the casserole, and I would like to tidy up.
Oh, don't worry, darling. We'll cope.
I thought we weren't allowed in music in class, Fred.
No, it's all right on Sunday.
You sure?
So I'll see you there after your nets. There's something I particularly wanted to hear.
Hey, you two. Aren't you bagging Rebecca?
Sir?
Sir.
Come on, then.
How did this come about, anyway?
It was a conspiracy. The wife of your oldest friend invited the wife of his oldest friend and her husband, the oldest friend, to lunch. Wanted to ruin your Sunday.
Well, you didn't have to accept.
I had no choice. That's not true. I had the choice of any one of the next 8 Sundays.
Well, then why didn't you choose the 8th?
To avoid having this conversation then. Anyway, it'll give Jeremy someone to play with. Won't it, darling?
I hate them.
Well, then at least you shouldn't be too bored.
Well, we've got a jolly nice day in store for you chaps, haven't we, Mummy?
Jolly nice day.
And we're all going to be particularly nice to Jeremy, until he's used to us. He'll be the odd one out.
Don't like Jeremy.
Well, you've forgotten him. It's been such a long time.
But I remember I don't like him. Nor do I.
Then let's begin by pretending to like him, and if we practice hard, we'll end up by doing it.
It's to be begged.
I know. Sorry. I got it in specially, then forgot where I put it. You better look after yourself.
Oh, it's very sweet of you. What are you drinking?
Ribena, actually. I seem to have acquired an addiction to it because of the children. Well. Well. Oh. There's something I wanted you to hear. Might amuse you. One of my sixth formers did it.
jolly bloody good.
Yes?
Well, I liked it.
Did it make you laugh?
Laugh.
It's very and fantastically witty.
You didn't laugh.
I know all the jokes.
And what did you put it on for?
Your entertainment, of course. And I wanted to concentrate on the grief for once.
I'm not quite sure whether this is part of it. The silence, I mean. It goes on for 20 minutes.
Or may we not acknowledge it rather than listen to it, or whatever it is one does to silence? Hmm?
Yes. Yes, perhaps one had better. Well, I just wanted you to get a sense of its effect. Once or twice, I fancied I heard something behind the silence. But it's never the same, so I suppose it's just imagination. Perhaps that's what he intends.
Well, a sixth former, did you say?
Yes, but quite young. Just 16. A precocious lad. I have hopes he'll pull off an Oxford place at the very least. He's utterly individual. I think I told you last time, we had quite a business coming to a policy on hairstyles.
Oh, yes.
And decided on a completely liberal view. Well, you can imagine what we got. Hair to the shoulders, afro styles, the lot. Except from young Tedhurst. Young Tedhurst went bald.
Really? Disease or design?
Oh, design, I'm sure. Now this. For his creative arts project. Well, most of the boys wrote stories or painted or built things, you know. But young Tedhurst?
What will you say to him?
Well, the truth, of course. That I think it's very, very interesting.
Oh, that should do the trick.
How do you mean?
Not that a bald, 16-year-old futuristic musician is entitled to exactly the same attention as any other boy.
Well, of course he is.
Oh, yes. Anyway, you're obviously still enjoying school, then.
Oh, yes. Last year, they tried to promote me into more admin and less teaching, but I wasn't having it. Those that can't aren't going to have that taken away from them. By the way, did I mention I've taken over junior Colts? Soccer and cricket.
Really?
I thought that would surprise you.
And for the exercise?
Partly. Of course, I have to take further exercise to keep up with it. I run every morning before breakfast.
Right.
I'm up to 4 miles.
Right.
I feel quite marvellous for it. How about you?
Oh, no, I'm not fit enough to take exercise.
But you're all right.
Oh, yeah. Yes, thanks. Well, you know.
And publishing? Anything changed? Last time you sounded a bit depressed.
Well, then nothing can have changed. I'm still editing the waste products of immigrant intellectuals. We've just started on a new paperback series. Mind Formers of Our Time. Monographs on people like Marcuse. Generally written by people on whom we can do monographs in a few years' time.
But you were very excited over a novel you received. A quite unexpected first novel, I think it was.
Was I? Oh, yes. Yes, that got a few nice reviews. Nothing special happened. I suppose 1 or 2 people bought it.
But you're still doing novels, aren't you?
None there. We have to keep up a list for appearance's sake. What with rising costs and declining literacy.
Still, it's good that you are. For whatever reason. How about your own? You had one on the way, didn't you?
No. Or rather, yes, but no. Not any longer.
Don't say you've given it up.
Well, I've already done my bit as publisher to add to the world's stock of unread books. And I have no right to add to it as an author. Besides, it wasn't any good.
How do you know?
I assessed it in my second capacity. I decided it was probably worth more than a straight rejection, but that I wouldn't have recommended it for publication. In fact, I'd have probably taken the author out to lunch and gently discouraged him. Which is precisely what I did do. It was a bloody good lunch, too. Oysters, guineas, strawberries. Thus proving that I may be a poor novelist, but I'm a decent enough editor.
Still. It must have been, well, painful for you.
Well, it was a relief, actually. I haven't the stamina to smoke, drink, and write in the evenings.
Perhaps it would be worth giving up for something really important.
Well, that's what I did.
Under the circumstances,
Huh?
Oh, just something rather ironic. But it can wait. Well, the thing is,
Mysteriously, Mozart from the other side of the door, while from the other side of the window, something fashionably atonal. Berg?
Sir.
When it should really be neither, as you're both down to fag with the seniors at Refec. Didn't you hear the Refec bells? Between the Berg and the motor.
So we were just going, sir.
Good. By the way, isn't there some petty fogging regulation about the music room? Is one allowed to use it before 6 o'clock prep?
We thought on Sunday, sir.
What are you two chaps up to? Lunch is ready. At least the children have all washed their hands and Hilary's arranging them around the table, on which I'm about to plonk the casserole. So if you're going to get up some of our brew, darling, you better nip about it sharpish.
do you like homemade beer? I've been following that chap in The Guardian. Sometimes it turns out all right.
Actually, it's jolly delicious.
As a matter of fact, I brought a small contribution.
Can I have some more bread?
Just a little, yes?
You want some?
Yes, darling, yes.
No, you can't have that.
Oh, yes, I told you before. Right, well, we'll try you with something else. Wait till
Does Jeremy eat aubergines?
Well, it's worth trying. Oh, doesn't you manage her fault well.
Hit this one. Ben, mind the flowers.
Some verse?
Sir.
Why here?
Well, supporting Hurst too, sir. It's the House Shield semi-final.
Oh, well, that's very keen of you. Let's hear a mite of applause, then.
He hasn't done anything to applaud yet, sir. He's behind 4 love. 5 love,
Then you must applaud his opponent. That's the done thing, isn't it?
sir.
Then kindly do it.
Kick again.
3 goals.
Kick again. Oh, Ben, get it.
2 goals.
Well, 2 goals. Very good.
Two.
Down. Very good.
Might show willing.
But I'm not.
Thanks,
Well,
Jeremy.
it's a little embarrassing for Jeremy. His father not playing.
Come on, Lee.
Embarrassing for him if I did.
Oh, thank you.
Besides, he hates football, too.
Kick the ball back.
At least he's joining in.
Kick it to Jeremy. Oh, hard cheese, Jeremy. There you go.
Poor little sod had no option.
Can
Well,
get
you
it,
present a
Jeremy?
very
Right.
pretty spectacle, I must say.
I say, would you mind
Well
looking?
done there, you lot.
What?
Oh, well done, Lindy.
Ben,
Say something.
mind the flowers.
Marvellous, darling.
Yes. Brilliant.
Isn't she a clever girl? Daddy! Daddy! Daddy, Mindy's done a lovely little job for Peter right into her potty.
Oh. Oh, what a clever girl, eh?
What do they do when she does lovely big jobs? Hmm? You look a bit done in for a chap who's up to 4 miles in the junior coats.
It's the heat.
Hard luck.
I pong.
I don't know how I can sit there,
Why not?
because I pong.
That's because you've been running about, losing.
I wouldn't have if you hadn't been there.
Run about?
No, you put me off.
But it doesn't matter you losing. Master told me so.
Sorry.
What?
What for? Oh, all this. Family casseroles, soccer on the lawn, homemade beer. You must hate it.
Of course I don't.
It's the only way Alison knows of doing things.
Why, it's a splendid way. Besides, I didn't drink the beer or play soccer. And the casserole was delicious. And so was the homemade bread.
And the beer's not really at all bad.
Well, why don't we meet in town for lunch sometime next week? Hmm?
We always decide to do that.
Well, nothing could be easier to arrange.
Fine.
Well, I'll give you a ring, just as soon as I've checked on my office diary.
Right. One gets such odd fragments of information, doesn't one? From each other. Usually not the sequels.
Yes, it's very tantalizing.
I mean, I take it everything's all right between you and that girl.
Girl?
The one you were having an affair with.
Oh, yes. Which one was that?
The Australian.
Oh, yeah. Long gone. All the way back to Australia, thank God. That was a long time ago.
You were worried that Hillary might find out. You thought she might make trouble.
Hillary?
No, the Australian.
Oh, yes, that's right. Well, she did go through a period of antipodean bluster. I think she wanted to liven me up a bit. She found me rather boring when it came to it. She had some idea that adultery should be, well, I don't know, more spectacular, especially in the literary world. Or at least a few éclaircissements.
Anyway, Hillary never did find out.
Oh, Christ. She wouldn't have done anything underhand. I mean, she was all right. She was quite nice, actually. Her book's done quite well, too. I mean, considering it came at the tail end of all that business. Have you read it? Well, in the afterword, which he'd stuck in afterwards, so to speak, there's an account of an affair she had with a married chap. He used to bring a spare pair of knickers to her flat in his briefcase. That was me. Hillary thought it was funny.
That it was you?
No. Just the description. She read it out to me, all bits of it. No, of course, she hadn't the least idea.
Good God. What did you do?
Well, I laughed, too. It struck me as really quite exceptional. To lie in bed with one's wife, innocently reading out an account of one's adultery.
I can see. Anyway, that's all over, hmm?
Oh, yes.
I remember you saying that if you got out of that one intact, you'd make sure there'd never be another.
Did I say that?
Don't you remember?
Well, there've been so many since.
Do you mean now?
No, not really, no. Well, there's one of the editor's secretaries. Oh, she's worse than me. She carries a supply of VD pills in her bag. Makes me take them. Highly organized. Oddly enough, I hear she's not a very good secretary.
Where'd you do it?
Hmm?
No, I'm just curious.
No, that's all right. In the office at lunchtime or after hours when she hasn't got to go on anywhere more interesting or I don't have to get home for anything.
Isn't it risky?
No, not really. I lock the door and leave the key in.
Surely people suspect.
Well, I imagine there are the usual jokes. As long as they don't reach Hillary. You know, the most depressing thing, the most depressing thing is that I used to feel a certain amount of post-coital tristesse. Well, guilt. But these days, I can scarcely be bothered to feel shifty when I get home. Extramarital sex is as overrated as premarital sex. Or marital sex, come to think of it.
Well, why do you have it?
I don't know. Still quite fun the first time. It's only to go on and on.
Why do you?
From politeness. I mean, one just can't have it off and tip one's hat.
But you still love Hillary, don't you?
What?
Hillary.
What?
Love Hillary.
Christ, of course I do. There's not a day at the office when the telephone rings. I mean, not a day when at least once I don't have a spasm of terror and think, oh, not this time. Please let nothing have happened to her this time. Or Jeremy. You know, I'm frightened for them. I want to die before they do. At least I shan't spend my last years thinking, first me, then Hillary, then after a long intermission, Jeremy. Well, that seems only fair. Well, except that I know that life doesn't work on fair principles, which are anyway formulated by types like me in Greenwich. Well, who knows? Well, who knows what? I'm frightened for her. I know she is for me. Well, Christ. But that's a marriage. Bloody hell. Of course I love her. But what do you mean?
The thing is... The irony is... Look.
About me?
That's right. Didn't you recognize yourself? I thought you would, as it's so complimentary.
Well, I can't. I've only read it once. It's difficult for you standing there. Well, you just stick it in my hand.
I'm putting you off again, am I? You can't win at games when I'm watching. You can't read when I'm watching.
Why don't you stop watching then?
You like being watched.
Rubbish. What bloody rubbish. It's a lousy poem. It's just bloody rubbish.
I'm glad I showed it to you. I was sure I'd get an intelligent assessment.
They're right about you, what they say. You're just a pseudo, really. Loping about, listening to music, and scribbling poems, not doing anything at all.
The irony is that I thought you might have a touch of intelligence. The irony is that you're an extremely stupid sort of little person. The irony is that I've been wasting my time on you.
Then why don't you leave me alone?
Yes, why don't I?
I didn't intend it to come out as a full-length novel. I'd no idea.
Well, these things happen.
Even now, I can scarcely believe I've finished it. Or whether what I've finished is something there. You know, creative. Or therapy. I expect you'll be able to tell me. No punches pulled. What I do know is that it, in a sense, saved my life.
That's certainly to its credit. Has anyone else read it?
No.
What does Alison feel about it?
Actually, she hasn't read it either. In fact, I'd better warn you, she doesn't even know I've written it. Oh, she knows I've been working on something, of course, but I'd rather let her go on thinking. It's one of those Molière translations, you know, the ones I started after we came down. Actually, I'd rather she didn't know. Well, at least just yet. you'll be able to help me there, too. You see, it's about us.
Us?
Well, our marriage. It's not, of course, but there are certain, well... I'd rather Alison didn't know that it was about us, is perhaps the best way of putting it. There are inevitable similarities, of course, between myself and the central chap. It's a chap in it a little like you, too. Only superficially. For one thing, he commits suicide.
Oh. Well, then at least he's a little unlike me, if only superficially.
No, no, I meant the other chap.
Oh, you mean the chap a little like you?
Hmm.
Well, can you tell me why? Or would it ruin the suspense?
No. No, no. As he commits suicide on the first page and the last.
He does it twice.
No. It's the same suicide. Structure is complex, circular. But I hope organic. He commits suicide because he's unhappy, really. That's what it comes down to. In his work and in his, well, marriage. That's the part of it that Alison might not understand. The difference between autobiography and fiction.
It's frequently muddling.
Not to you. You'll know it once. His attitude to his children, for example. His wife's pregnancy. Various things that he does and feels at work.
Well, what work does he do?
He's a teacher. Public school teacher. Not very imaginative, that I know. But in his real self, he's so different from myself.
Anyway, your real self.
Exactly, yes. There is one thing. One section that I'd like to clarify, where something is said, explicitly said, about his feeling for one of the boys. His sense of torture. The way the word desire is used. That is, well, you'll understand. You'll understand. And about friendship. There's a passage, a meditation. He thinks about his most important relationships and, well, the tone of the passage is, well, it's intended to be acerbic.
Well, don't worry. I'll read it as a novel.
I know. But I can't help feeling a little treacherous. In the sense that you meant years ago, when you first started being, well, unfaithful. You said that for you, the real treachery wasn't what you did with another woman, but what you said to her about your wife.
Did I say that?
Anyway, that's the sense in which I feel treacherous. Towards Alison. As if somehow I'd betrayed a deep confidence.
Well, on that analogy, you haven't, yes. Well, not until I've read it, or somebody else has. Don't you think you ought to reconsider letting me see it?
No, no, you must read it.
Yes, but only if you're sure.
The real treachery is in finding it out. I can't go back on that. The truth is that it's all there. It's no use my fooling myself or trying to fool you of all people. You'll know. It's all there.
what it usually is.
How do you mean?
In a first novel.
If it hadn't been for you, I wouldn't have written it. You're the one to whom I have always privately addressed my most private feelings. Some friendships endure as what they were, even though they are no longer what they were. Isn't that true? Isn't it the same for you?
I'm sorry.
Well, liking me so much.
Because you stopped liking me.
No. Well, it's not that. It's...
You don't like me anymore.
Yes, I do.
How do you know I like you?
Well, if you don't, I mean...
Why don't you go?
What will you do?
Stay here.
What for? Well, for how long?
Until I get up.
The effect bell's gone. We're still on fag. Come on, we better go. Well, I'm jolly well.
You're very stupid.
Ah, is she? Well, I'll be right down.
I'll dig Jeremy out of the cellar.
Aren't you staying for tea?
It's rather a long drive, Hilary feels.
Oh, yes. Well. We were just beginning to talk. Naturally.
Well, it's a long drive, and Jeremy gets very tired.
Leave the cats alone.
I'll give you a ring. Ah, there they are. I'll give you a ring. At the school. Right.
I was going to fix up something with Hilary. Tell her I'll give her a ring.
Right. And, thanks for lovely
No,
tea.
no, it was lovely.
Yes. Well.
He's certainly putting it on, isn't he?
What?
Oh, surely you noticed. His face has gone quite...
Right. I nearly forgot. I thought I had it in my hand, and I put it in. No, I've got it, thanks. Bye. Bye.
What was it?
Oh, just some cigarettes or something.
Can you check in the bathroom? I'm doing Ophelia. They're supposed to be washing their hands, but they're mucking about with the tap.
All over the school. Mr. Jameson finds you in the music room when you should be fagging, at effect. Monsieur Fousset wonders why you always sit at the back of the class, whispering passionately over Baudelaire, he thinks, when you ought to be translating La Malade Imaginaire. And Mr. Jameson stumbles across you in change when you should be fagging at effect. Hmm?
Sir.
Sir.
How's your chest?
Still got asthma a little bit, sir.
Still chitted for all games, are you?
Sir.
Hmm. How did the shield match go?
Oh, all right, sir.
You won then?
No, sir.
Oh, really? Hmm. What they call in sporting circles a bit of an upset, eh?
Not really, sir.
Hmm.
I mean, I didn't mind too much.
Hmm. Well, I've really got nothing more to say than this. If you are going to be caught in the wrong places at the wrong times, could you contrive to do so separately?
Sir.
Sir. But it's all right to be in the music room together at the right time, and other places at the right time.
There are no school regulations against boys being friends. And as you're in the same house and the same form, there isn't even a convention to hold you back. I think I better have a word with each of you in private, if I may. Why don't you run on to Matron, get your next week's chit, and then come back?
Sir.
You are friends, are you?
Sir.
What sort of friends are you?
Might like him.
Yes. That'd be a blow.
To whom?
To me, of course. He had his purple passage at school. He doesn't deserve another go. I've settled him down as a successful failure.
Well, then, let's hope it's terrible. And you can still make appropriate noises.
What are the appropriate noises for not wanting to publish it?
Oh. Is that what he's after? You poor old sod. After all, be a reason for choosing him among so many. You see, your interests are so very different. Or so it seems to an uninvolved eye, aren't they?
Sir.
I mean no reflection on your academic standing. You work as hard as can be expected. For someone who has so many obligations in the fives courts, cricket field, I gather you've developed an off-spin of some consequence. So I'm fairly confident that your general all-roundedness will stand you in some stead when you come to think between Oxford and Cambridge. All I mean is, I shouldn't have thought it was in the general run of your pursuits to listen to Berg, or even Mozart, when you should be fagging and reflect.
No, sir.
I'm not suggesting that you give him up or anything extreme. Just that you should reflect that too intense friendship can lead to too many complications for a chap who wants an uncluttered life.
But I've a perfect right to be pregnant.
Well, of course you have.
She patronizes me.
I don't think she means to.
What, because she can't help it? Or because I make it unavoidable?
I can't find any with special caps on.
Oh, there's a blue tin. How you doing, darling? What? Good girlie. That boy of theirs is a sly little brute.
Really? In what way?
Oh, he's a mixer. Likes to stir things up. Quite unnatural sophistication. Piggy little eyes.
Darling, he's only 6.
If he doesn't look out, he's going to have a heart attack.
At 6?
Oh, you know perfectly well. He boozed all through the day. Oh, good girl. Look, Daddy, a wee-wee for you. Oh, there we are, sweetheart. Can you honestly say you've still got anything in common?
What do you think this is all about?
I don't know, sir.
Well, I'm asking you to be careful, that's all.
Sir. What of, sir?
Of yourself and of your feelings. It's hard for you, I know, in that your health excludes you from a great deal of companionship. Although I suspect you don't very much regret that. You're very highly thought of, you know, by most of us. Even if we do find you a little frightening. Look, I, for one, I wouldn't dream of dictating the proper lines for friendship. There aren't any. But do remember, won't you, that your capacity for affection deserves various expressions. Look, I'm not saying anything at all. It's sheer nonsense. You must find your own way. No one wishes you any harm. Please believe that. Do you?
Will you be long?
Oh, I won't be long.
Jeremy's sound asleep. He's exhausted, poor child. There's not a peep out of him.
Well, I won't be long.
Thank you. What's it like?
It's bloody handwritten. That's what it's like.
Another drink? You're smoking too much.
Ah. That explains it.
What?
I've got 250 pages of handwritten novel to get through.
Well, not tonight, I hope.
Some of it tonight.
Why, if you're tired? Look, I didn't ask to spend the day with your old school friend and his dull wife. And I didn't fill you full of wine all day to help you get through it. And I'm not pouring scotch down your throat to help you get over it. I know what's the matter with you. I've had enough of everything today, including you.
Have you? What?
Shh! Would you kindly remember that Jeremy is asleep?
But you are, I can tell.
No. Contemplative.
And what are you contemplating?
I'm not sure. I don't think I'd fixed on a subject.
I wasn't getting at him, you know. Yes, I was.
I've never minded your not liking him.
You must. As long as you go on liking him.
Oh, I don't know. Old friends are rather like old habits. There comes a point when it doesn't matter anymore whether you like them. They're what you've got.
Is the same true of families?
Well, I don't keep adding to my circle of friends. But with my family, on the other hand.
I love you.
I can only stay for a little bit.
I can't stay long either.